Hello, my name is Dr. Clifton Brady, and today I get the privilege of talking with one of my good friends, Ryan Winn, who is an occupational therapist and has some pretty big dreams and big goals that as we were talking as friends, I thought, you know what, let's get on here and discuss some of these things with you. For those of you who are occupational therapists or actually any entrepreneurial health practitioner, I think you can find value in some of the topics we're going to talk about today. We're actually going to talk about influence, freedom, and legacy, and we'll discuss that as we go. But Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I'm Ryan. I've been an occupational therapist for, almost 22 years now. But I've worked mainly in pediatrics those 22 years, specialized in that and sensory processing disorders. And that's kind of where I've been focusing. Worked a lot with ADHD, autism, and sensory processing dysfunction. So helped with autism diagnostic clinic and other early intervention, school-based services and clinic-based services. So I've kind of had a good variety there, but I really enjoyed all of it and really want to do more influence and help parents and kids. So
fantastic. When we were talking about those three topics of influence, freedom, and legacy, I remember you saying something about having that just kind of like an aha moment. Do you mind sharing with us what you were thinking?
Yeah. So when I was working at Utah State University, the Autism Diagnostic Clinic, say after we helped with diagnostic work, and then they'd want to come to me for intervention and services. And a lot of the stuff I would be training parents, and I was like, gosh, I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again. And I thought, this is back before it was a really easy to do, but I thought, gosh, I could record this and just make it into like some basic principles of teaching parents. This could be a course, an online course, and which would have been cutting edge if I would have done it at the time. And I could reach thousands instead of just a couple hours here and there with these parents one-on-one. I could do it once and then reach just thousands of people. And so, yeah, that was my thought at the time. And now I'm finally getting to that. So I'm really excited about that.
Hey, that's awesome. I don't think there's any shame in not doing it as long as we don't not do it forever. I kind of tongue twisted myself, but like if we never do it, then that's shameful, I think, in a way, because we have so much to offer, right? But if we eventually do it, that's okay. And that's great, because there's so many things I've done that I haven't done yet that I am doing or want to do. When you're talking about the first part, influence, identifying our signature move, what I think about that as you're talking is, okay, there's things that I'm really good at, things that people like to come to me for. I'm saying the same things every single day. Why am I not capturing that? Is that kind of what you were thinking?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's like this could be produced in a really concise way, really accessible to a ton of families, parents, and even educators, and especially, and actually in some ways do it a lot, possibly a lot cheaper, maybe giving access to people that don't have access to either financially or geographically to therapy services, other interventions. So
fantastic. That's wonderful. And in this age of YouTubing the answer, why not have a legit place to go to get the real answer?
Yeah.
Freedom. On this topic, practicing on our own terms or on our own terms, that's the way I think of it. What does freedom mean to you when you think about, doing that creating that content that's available for people. What will that mean for you?
I mean, eventually, as a person and practitioner, I would love to get back to, not being doing the 9 to 5 thing or 8 to 5 thing. Having a little more flexibility for my family, and that's another ultimate goal as well, is just to have that. If my son's got this market he's going to be doing, or my daughter's got this thing, I want to be able to have that flexibility to pivot and, oh, I'm gonna do that instead of be tied down to a typical job.
Right.
If I do want to go, say, speak in Texas or something like that, and I'm not tied down to those things, and I can have more influence. So both family, time, money, freedom. So that's my ultimate goal there.
That's wonderful to be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. I was thinking about the freedom, and I'd never thought about this till now, but the freedom of our clients, that they get to have access to this information. They don't need to pack up their kids and take them down every time. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things that they still need to go to the occupational therapist or different, do different therapies, but there's some things they can do on their own, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. I was, a lot of times you might need an actual therapist and go there if you have access to that. Some people don't, right, because of distance or money or whatever. But there are a lot of things you can do on your own. And I mean, we learn all the time. I mean, people are watching YouTube videos, they're reading books, and they're getting a lot of good information. This is just the information age, right? And I love that people can do that because, the more self starters, self learners, I find that those are the parents that really are successful. They're the ones that are implementing. The more passive it is, and the less likely I think there is with success. I think that's kind of an old model, is that you've got the doctor and you've got the patient. They prescribe you this, and it's very passive. And I feel like the more active the patient or the family of a client is, the more they're going to be more successful in their health journey than if it's just really really passive thing. So
absolutely. And then I guess there's that element of doing a face-to-face telehealth session too that you could do potentially.
And that's also my goal too. I'm thinking of several different levels of this is, there's definitely a course would be or like a free course, then a paid course, then a maybe a group
trainings,
group coaching, and then maybe some elite type of one-on-one coaching kind of stuff for parents.
For those who really need it and need your time, then they can do that affordably, hopefully, and conveniently. Okay, so last topic is legacy. You actually helped me with this wording before we jumped on here, so thank you for that. But influence lives on. It's taking that influence, creating freedom for ourselves, and then making it so that people can continue to enjoy our content for years and years to come. And I think about how many times you run across someone like, oh, you need to talk to my doctor. You need to talk to my therapist. They're the best. But I live in Texas. That's okay. See, in the past, it's like, oh, that's true. Yeah, you don't live here. Dang. Have they written a book? No, they haven't written a book yet. So, but if we have a book, or you have a podcast, or you have a course or content, what does this mean to you? Sorry, I'm just going on and on. Obviously I like this part of the topic, but what does legacy mean to you?
Yeah. So, I mean, when you said that, I thought of, there's a lady that has really influenced me. And so Dr. Jean Ayres, and she is in the 60s. She's a psychologist and occupational therapist, and she started studying sensory processing, sensory integration, and she started writing books on this and doing and research. And gosh, she's the one that I feel like has changed so much in this field in discovering that, gosh, kids, we all process all the sensations differently. And for one kid, it might be totally different than another. And so her legacy, all the research and all the books and things she wrote, starting in the 60s,
Yeah.
To this day has influenced me to help, thousands of families over the last almost 22 years. And gosh, if I could do that as well, like influence not only the people now, but uh, far into the future, the influence is just multiplied, so it's really pretty cool to be able to do that.
And it is multiplied because her influence influenced you and probably thousands of others. And now I love that. That feels right, because everybody has a story to tell, and it needs to be told. But not everybody wants to hear our story, and that's okay. But there are people who want to hear it. So,
Yeah.
We won't get into this right now because we basically already covered it. But the 3 must-dos to recession-proof our practice, according to me, and I think a lot of other people, is if you have influence and you're able to create a way to get that influence out to more people, then you're going to have more freedom from your practice and in your practice. And then finally, have a legacy to draw on. So I feel like we covered all those.
I mean, I could just sort of speak to that. I mean, I feel like I was a little bit of a product of the COVID pandemic issue. I had a contract business, just a new contract business, and I hadn't really recession proofed my business, and I, who did foresee some of the things with COVID, how it was going to change things.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, the contract I had, I saw them starting to cut programs left and right. And I was like, well, I worked with them, years ago in the 2008 recession, and we made it through that. Honestly, I didn't worry about it. I was like, we're going to be good. Maybe that was naive. But when they started cutting more and more programs, I started getting a little bit nervous about that. When they cut the first employee, then I got really nervous. And
Right.
It was a week later that I got an email, hey, can I come talk to you?
Oh, shoot.
And
you're like,
and
great.
then,
No, you can't talk to me.
And then then it was like, okay, well, we can't afford to pay what we're paying you. We'll pay you half of that. And it's just like, so
Right.
had I already been doing some of the things I'm heading toward this direction, I don't think that would have been as big of a problem.
Right. Yeah, then you would have more time to create your content, and still have some income coming in potentially.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, being vulnerable and sharing that experience, because we all have things that we're not, well, I'll say not proud of, but just wish we would have seen it better.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Experiences that we have are for our purpose. And quite frankly, neither of us would be who we are today without the horrible experiences we've had and the challenges that we've gone through. But anyways, any last thoughts you want to share, Ryan, before we jump off?
No, I just love that you're doing this and trying to spread, light and love, and influencing others as well to help them get their influence out and give them freedom and eventually legacy. So
absolutely. Well, thank you. And if you're still listening and want to know more about Ryan and, connect with him on LinkedIn, if you're like, you know what, I want to do a course or I want to do something like that. How are you doing it, Ryan? feel free to reach out to him. I mean, it's not like he would charge you to tell you what he's doing. Just connect, develop a relationship, and see what comes of it. Maybe you'll put courses together with him. Who knows? So, this is a community of people that we're building together, of health professionals that want more out of life and helping each other do it. So anyways, I'm assuming that's okay if they reach out to you, Ryan, if someone wants to talk to you. Great. All right. Well, until next time, thank you so much. As you consider what you can do in your own life to have more influence, to create more freedom and legacy, I hope that you'll follow those promptings, follow those inspired thoughts, and make more out of your life, and just create a situation where you can practice on your own terms. Thank you so much, and we'll talk later. Thanks.